The votes are soon to come. House Democrats gather this weekend to choose their leadership. House Republicans have already done so. Then, of course, it's the Senate. So, Dan, let me talk with you about this first, just to get that out there. Senate President Pro Tem, Tim Jennings, is out, and this is the big fight here. There's two things they generally do. They stand in for the lieutenant governor. That's not so exciting. But they also do this other huge thing, and that's on the committee's committee. Yep. To pick, I would like you to explain that in about 20 seconds and why that is so critical in that position.
Well, the committees decides who's on what committees and where legislation is going. And so it's very important because the committee process in the Senate that's where a lot of the work is done. And so if you're the guy that's deciding who's going to be on what committees, you're the one that can decide, you know, I want to stack judiciary, for instance, and that way anything that has to do with law changes is going to eventually make it there, and I've got it favored my way, whether it's less government or more, whatever that is. And so it's an extremely important deal. But don't count out the President Pro Tem. Remember, when Manny made the switch, you know, when Manny was the President Pro Tem, the President Pro Tem had unbelievable power. Then he got booted out, and President Pro Tem became leader, and the leader got all the power. That's right. So, you know, you got to be careful because the President Pro Tem could make a move, depending on who it is, to say, you know, maybe I should get a little bit of that power back that we used to have on deciding legislation and when things are going to be heard. So it's billed as a largely ceremonial position, but it has much more power than people think.
That's interesting. I appreciate that answering that question because, Tom, it seems to me these people cannot be strangers to you. You may have to know these other legislators intimately, where they're coming from, like Dan just said, and then make your choices. So conversely, they have to know you as well, and you have to have been working this thing for a little bit to have a chance at this. So we can get into some of that too.
Yeah, you know, and right now, anybody who says that, oh, I know who's the front runner, they just don't know. Even you know, when on Sunday morning, nobody's going to know really who the front runner is, and even until the vote is taken, the first day of the legislative session, nobody's really going to know. There will be a front runner, perhaps somebody who makes it out of the Democratic caucus, but for the most part, you know, as we saw last time 4 years ago, that switched in a heartbeat.
That's right. Let me stay with you on something Dan also mentioned about Senate leadership. What we do have clarity on is it seems like Majority Leader Sanchez is not looking, I'm not sure on this, but not looking to do anything beyond be what he is now. Correct. And that creates a little bit void for everybody else, it seems like, right?
Well, I think it provides, you know, if there's a stability in this whole process, I think that's as close as we're going to see. You know, obviously, I think one of the key things to look at is who is going to be this majority whip. Because that will really, I think, put into play a lot of other types of scenarios, especially with the Senate Democrats.
Interesting. Let's go there on that one.
And with the committee assignments and committee chairs, and you know, I mean, people can't decide who's going to be in charge of any committee at all right now. I mean, you're throwing around names, but a lot of those names are being mentioned for whip or pro tem. And you know, I agree with Dan. The pro tem position is very important. And as somebody who's had legislation that people did not like in the Senate, you know, you get that 3-committee assignment and you go to, you know, the most conservative committee there and your bill's not going anywhere. I mean, it really controls it.
Yeah, that's from the ground. I appreciate your angle on that.
And
so
before
go ahead, please.
I was just say, remember also, you got to throw in the mix here that the Senate is very ceremonial about seniority. So, you know, you got some young folks, Peter Wirth, who I think could be, you know, if the D's were going to rally around somebody that the R's would find palatable that could get things done, Peter Wirth, but he's one of the most junior guys there. I mean, you're not going to step over, unlike the House, where the House can be a free-for-all. The Senate is very rigid on, we're going to sit around this table and we're going to say, okay, you might be great, young lady, but wait 10 years because she's been here 10 years longer and it's her turn.
Which I think is a really interesting point that you bring up. We saw this, again, on the national level with the Republican leadership, where they came out with all of these gentlemen. And one of the things is, as committee chairs, and one of the messages that we got back was, we're making decisions based on seniority. And that's one of the things that can really trip you up. Yes, it's amazing people have been carrying water for your party for years, but it can lock you into a lack of diversity that, especially right now, people are really on top of, really paying attention to the ethnic makeup of leadership, the gender makeup of leadership,
the demographics of where they're from.
Absolutely, people are looking for change and fresh ideas and things like that.
They want people that represent them. They want people that look like them.
And if you come back with the same old, you run the risk of people saying, you know what, why what were we doing here?
Let me toss some names out there. Tell me, start with
Well,
you.
before you do that, let's do this. We got to talk about the Senate leadership race in two areas. The first one is, will the Democrats be able to bring someone out of caucus that can keep all the Democrats and they get their person? If that happens, they don't need a single Republican vote. Or will the Democrats have somebody that fits one side or the other, whether it's progressive, conservative, whether it's rural or urban, will they have someone that fits that, and then someone can peel off and make a deal with Republicans, and now you got the votes to get that done. From what I'm hearing from people I'm talking to in the state Senate is that the push right now is for the Democrats to come together and say, you know, we're got to pick someone ourselves. No more of this coalition stuff.
Where basically the Republican
That's
Party
right.
is choosing.
That's right. Right now, what
Jennings way.
That's right.
Right.
With Tim Jennings, the thought was the Republicans chose the president pro tem. The Democrats are really fighting to say, we don't want that. It's time for us to rally around having a Democrat since we're in charge. The problem is, as I can tell you from when I was in caucus, everybody's always on board until they get something given to them. And then miraculously, everybody's like, hey, oh, wait a minute, that's good for me.
And it's a long time till the
We'll
third
do your
week
fight
in
next
January.
year. That's right.
We've got a long time.
So I think the big discussion needs to be is, can the Democrats rally to get someone that's a Democrat that their caucus comes out united behind, or are the Republicans going to have input?
Is Mary Kay Papen one of those people, one of those voices?
Well, her name is definitely been surfacing.
Conservative,
You know, I think with Mary Jane Garcia, no longer there, she has a chance to flourish. It really comes down to this: five votes. That's all the Republicans really need. Actually, that's all they need in order to get whoever it is that they want in as the pro tem. In essence, this is Susana the governor's last chance. She failed to get Michael Sanchez ousted. So now this is the last chance that the governor's office has to kind of go in and try and manipulate things.
Now, Tom, if you think the governor has any input, any governor, when you were working there or when I was there, has any input in the Senate, either side.
Well,
I mean,
point taken. But still, it is a voice, and it's a very powerful voice.
Well, and the thing to look about with Mary Kay Papen, too, right now, is you hear her name, and I think she's probably palatable to Republicans, and she probably brings two other votes with her by herself. You got John Arthur Smith out of Demi, you got Joseph Cervantes, a new state senator from Las Cruces, who's, I think that's his godmother. That's three. So now you just got to go find, I mean, you look at anybody that's starting off, I think Mary Kay Papen is really starting off with a leg up in this deal with three votes on her side.
But it's kind of like trying to say who's the Republican frontrunner a year and a half ago. There is a lot of time, as like you said. It's
there
just
is a lot of
oh
time,
my gosh,
and I think that's another big
right.
problem with that is looking at that. After seeing these races and seeing people who, for example, Representative Andy Nunez, who worked with the governor, carried her bills, and then we saw how that worked out for him. And so I think there's a lot. I'm hearing a lot of Democrats, especially the more conservative ones who have joined coalitions in the past, saying, hey, I just watched a lot of people get burned by crossing these lines.
And
I'm going to have to slow down about this idea.
Let's switch to the House here for just a quick
Hold
second.
on,
We're going to finish up.
I just want to say, not only because of the length of time, not only do you have to get someone, then you got to figure out how to keep them happy between now. I mean, all you need is someone coming out of the caucus unified that says, well, I really think Albuquerque needs more of
We're not paying enough
XYZ
attention to
Albuquerque.
Albuquerque.
And then all of a sudden
That's
you
right.
got 5 or
That's
6
right.
rural senators that say, well, we had a deal, forget it. We're going to cut another deal on opening day, and that could be a big problem.
Interesting. Good point. I'm glad you threw that in. Kenny Martinez on the House side he's looking pretty good to replace Ben Lujan, of course.
Done deal.
For
He
leadership.
absolutely is.
Yeah.
a lot
No
of
one seems to
respect
be in an
on both
argument with us at all. Majority leader, of course. Now, who takes his place? That's the more interesting story. And I'd love to hear your thought on that, the angle there.
I think that, as Dan mentioned earlier, things aren't so rigid in the House. So we could see some of the younger folks, some of the, the Gail Chaseys, possibly. We could see the Mo Maestas. I mean, there are a lot of different people that we could see come over on that side. I mean, I wish that it was that way in the Senate, because I agree with Dan, to have somebody like Peter Wirth, or, to get even younger than that, how about a Tim Keller, who really works hard for his district, works very well with both sides of the aisle. And so I think we've got a lot more flexibility in the House, because they don't necessarily feel like they always have to go. But that is still a point, and that's what I'm definitely hearing, especially, for example, House Judiciary. I mean, that's a huge, we've heard we've heard everything from Brian Egoff to Gail Chasey to Mo Maestas over there.
Al Park's old committee,
Al
right?
Park's old committee. Joseph Cervantes' old committee.
And in the House, keep in mind, what I think in the House, I have found both R's and D side. you know, there's obviously the Republican and Democrat parties.
Right.
And I would say almost closely aligned with the Republican and Democrat parties is rural and urban legislators. And so, you know, the way you see things lining up that I'm seeing right now is you have Debbie Rodella, who's wanting to be leader, and then you've got 3 or 4 Albuquerque folks.
Yeah.
You keep 3 or 4 Albuquerque folks and Debbie Rodella is going to be the majority leader in the House because she's going to get that rural New Mexico vote. Right. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think Kenny Martinez is going to be one of the toughest speakers that the Republicans have ever had to deal with. There's probably not going to be a smarter guy there that knows what he's doing. He's going to do things the right way. You're not going to be able to run out like I did when I was there and say, oh, look, he's breaking the rules. He's going to do it the right way. And I think the reason Kenny's going to have some staying power is I don't think Kenny wastes his political capital on all this other stuff. He's going to let that fight happen below him. He's going to let all that fight. That's right. And he's going to work with whoever is the majority leader, but make no bones about it. Whoever the majority leader is, Kenny Martinez is going to be in charge of the House.
Well, and all of the ones you just mentioned look up to Kenny Martinez, and so he's got their respect already.
There you go. We're on the clock now with a hot minute to get through each topic we choose. Let's get started. Changes are in store for the lottery scholarship. The number of students using the scholarships is outstripping the funding. Now, Vicki, you know, look, this was an old argument. People was like, when things are humming, this looks good, but if we ever take a dip here, this is going to be problematic. What's the best way to choose a scholarship now? Is it financial need or is it your grade potential?
I think
your
it's
graduation
a combination.
potential?
And I am somebody, you know, I went to the University of New Mexico. I got scholarships, I got academic ones, I got Pell Grants at CNM. And, you know, I'm somebody who was in school when the scholarship fund passed, and I thought right off the bat, 2.5, wait a minute, people. I mean, I'm killing myself. I have to have a 4.0 on some of my scholarships. I mean, the minimum I had to have was a 3.0. So I think
look
right
at the big
there.
brain on Vicki. I'd have been happy with a 2.0 in college.
What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, clearly the solution is that we all need to play the Powerball more often. But I think
My wife's trying to help out as much as she can.
I agree that it needs to be a combination of an increase in the GPA and I also, we do see, and this is purely anecdotal, but I have certainly met many parents who've said, I can afford to pay for UNM. I'm going to let the lottery scholarship pick it up, and I'm going to pay for something else.
Should not be financial. Should not be financial bound. There's so much money out there, financial given, that there's kids out there that don't meet that threshold now that they could use this lottery scholarship. I think grades is a good way to go.
Interesting. Going to hold you there, Tom. My fault. Next, estimates are more than $250 million. Will be available for the legislature to use on budgets next year. Much will go to Medicaid and education, of course, Tom, but where else should leadership in Santa Fe and the Roundhouse should be thinking to put some of this dough?
Well, here's a radical idea, okay? They shouldn't be looking at, I mean, if there's stuff that needs to be covered, it should, but isn't it about time to continue pulling back a little bit? I mean, with everything going on in Washington, with potential fiscal cliff, you know, sequestration, you know, why not look at trying to cut budgets? I know it's very unpopular. It's never going to happen. I mean, it's government after all.
Right.
But, you know, I think that that's a wise way to go. You have families throughout New Mexico, throughout the United States that are cutting back their budgets. Government shouldn't be any different.
Bridges and roads, jobs.
Roads in Tobacco County. I just drove through there the other day. Where are the roads? We have some of our rural areas need some help. Some of our rural area, I mean, definitely need some help. I spend a lot of time in Socorro County, and you know, it's just you know, you get used to it. We're talking
we drove
lights,
back
you
from 4th of
know.
July Canyon not too wide. The roads change at the county line.
Yeah,
it's amazing how that happens.
And listen, the folks who build roads are some of the most hard hit over the past couple of years in the recession. I think that, and I've said this so many times at this table, that money has got to go into the pockets of New Mexico's taxpayers.
We have not.
And that group is the one that
Governor
needs
Richardson decimated the maintenance fund on the roads and bridges here. We're about to have a huge problem in the state when it comes to roads and bridges. And if you don't think that's going to have an impact on economic development, let someone land and try to drive 30 minutes out of town on a crappy road. They may not want to come put a business here.
Good point. We have more on the clock online. Find it at NewMexicoInFocus.org. In a moment, an American graduate discussion with Native American students.